Hey, it's Gamer Ken, and welcome to my episode 4 review. Now sometimes I feel like Game of Thrones just goes to a board meeting and like, today we're gonna fuck with all our viewers so they're all really pissed off. Today was that day. So because a lot of my reviews have been way too long over the last couple of times, I'm just gonna kind of shorten this one down, take the highlights of the episode and go into depth for those areas rather than to go through every single scene. Now I've got to say, this entire section with Tommen was quite surprising for me. I didn't expect this kind of advancement in his storyline so fast, but it gives me a kind of query that they're going to accelerate him to a point where he's going to be dead long before this season ends. Now I've got to love that the show is finally putting some more attention towards Margaery. I always thought through the previous 4 seasons they didn't really put enough evidence of Margaery, her character, her manipulation, and her impact that she can have this season. Like, up to this point, we haven't actually seen Margaery get really pissed off or annoyed. Now, I'm not a Cersei hater like a lot of people are, but what I really don't understand is why she's trying to target the Tyrells. The Tyrells are like the strongest family in the Westeros at the moment, because the Lannisters are kind of lost Tywin, their gold mines are drying up according to the show. The Tyrells still have their army, their food, their wealth, and they're one of the most powerful houses in all of Westeros. Trying to mess with them is trying to mess with, like, Godzilla when you're, like, King Kong or some shit like that. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, I do want to address this scene. Now, I know a lot of other characters have talked about how Tommen is too weak, and, like, Joffrey was too harsh and stuff like that, but before this point, we really haven't, rooted against Tommen at all. I sure we don't mind him getting killed so Daenerys can get on the throne, or Jon Snow can get on the throne. We're not really that much people going for Stannis, but he is turning around his position this season, and I feel like we need a lot more support for him this season. But back to my point, the reason why not many people were voting against Tommen is because he was cute, adorable, innocent, and he was a far better replacement than Joffrey ever was. And now the show's starting to show us how weak and vulnerable he is, and that, no one likes a weak, vulnerable kid that just like crawling to their mama's knee. He's a pushover, a wimp, someone that can't take the throne. Like, I'm fine with Tommen going off to some lord, some keep, just his wife, and just hanging out there, but as the king of Westeros, Lord of the Singing Kingdoms, and protector of the realm, he will not last. I did quite like how brutal they portrayed the Kingsguard as. The only remotely good Kingsguard in the entire world, because his Kingsguard to Dany was Barristan Selmy. Evidence on the was Barristan Selmy. Now, before I want to move on, I did want to do a series of the Crusade jokes to do about this whole Melisandre army thing, but I'll hold off from that because people have already done it in previous videos. So as I thought, Cersei uses the Faith Militant to imprison Sir Loras to get back at Margaery and the Tyrells, which is a fucking terrible idea. Now, I know the books were a little bit different to what happened here, but I don't really mind that this is all going to change. It makes a lot more sense for the way the show was done. Like, in the books this was happening, it wouldn't make that much sense, but how the shows portray the characters and having added in other characters and stuff, it makes a lot more sense to do what they're doing now. More Melisandre chits, more Melisandre chits. Now, you gotta love all the Jon Snow and Melisandre scenes. It's just absolutely amazing, and I've been looking forward to it all year. Ever since the end of Season 4, when they're looking across those flames, like bearing into Jon Snow's soul, you knew this was gonna happen. But what I gotta say, the funniest part of this entire scene is how he gets the quick grope in there before he's like, no, my vows, I can't do it. Jon Snow is one of those characters that's constantly getting thrown all this awesome stuff at him, but he's too damn honorable just to take and be like, I'll take that. I'm telling you right now, if I was Jon Snow, I would have had sex with her 6 times a day, every day, until I was an old man and died. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked again, but back to the point. Melisandre and Jon Snow's scenes were absolutely amazing. They always have great interactions. I especially like the bit at the end when she walks to the door and she's like, you know nothing, Jon Snow. This came to a real surprise for me personally, because I thought the show was more going along ideas of that she was kind of fake, she was using these tricks and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you recall that, like, bathtub scene, yeah, you can recall it, had some tits in it. But she was showing through all the, like, fake potions she used and harnesses and stuff like that she used to trick people into believing the faith or her abilities or whatever it is. But there ain't no potion that's going to tell you the magic words to make Jon Snow think that you're awesome. Which also happens to be an insult, but never mind. Now we move to this scene, which I personally think is the second best scene in the entire episode. Probably even the entire season so far. The way the characters work together, the acting of the younger was absolutely brilliant, and the way Stannis portrayed that entire scene put you on this edge. You were like, is he in, is he out, is he in, is but you get my point. But I am getting a bit fishy, like, before this point we haven't really had anything from her at all. But then all of a sudden she's in every single episode of the season. She's been mentioned quite a lot by Melisandre about her blood, which they like to burn, and a whole bunch of other things, and so it's going to be really, really weird I mean, come on, Game of Thrones. I thought we were past the point that you kill off little girls all the time. Like, we're just starting to like her. Why do you have to kill her now? Now, but what I would really like is to see Davos, like, swoop in at the last moment, like, punch Melisandre in the face while pulling down her dress to reveal her boobs at the same time, grabbing her and running out. Davos saves the day, yeah, yeah. Okay, I gotta say, I'm starting to love the Bronn and Jaime scenes. I knew I loved it, but now they're proving it to me. Awesome witty sellsword. Renewed awesome good guy. Put together equals absolute awesomeness. Now, something big that I picked up was how he mentioned how he was gonna cut Tyrion in half if he ever saw him again, which was really sad for me because I thought when Tyrion and Jaime left, how they had that good ending, because the books were slightly different and they kind of left on the sour note, and they wouldn't have a better relationship from that point on. And now Jaime says this, and all my hopes and dreams are ruined. Come on, Game of Thrones, you made it seem like they would have a good relationship, and you just break my heart 4 episodes in. Now, that was an awesome-ass fight between the guys patrolling the area and Jaime and Bronn. I also like how the accent and the way they portray themselves as Dornish is very similar to how Pascal Cersei played Oberyn Martell. I'm gonna assume from this point on, most Dorns get portrayed in that kind of way, which is pretty awesome. Oberyn's legacy lives on. Plus, that hand trick with the catching the sword was pretty awesome. Now, a question I've had for a long time is why they haven't put a sword or a mace or an axe or some kind of like attachment they can put on his hand. If any of you guys have read the Brother Bands books, then you will know that there's this guy called Thor who loses his hand out at sea, and so they put a mace on it so he can fight still. That kind of thing could happen for Jaime. He's still one of the best fighters in the entire land. With like a simple attachment like that, he could become ranked, way up there still. And now we're gonna meet the Sand Snakes. Warning, this is gonna be a really unpopular opinion, so if you don't want to hear something that is against the meta, then stop watching now. I hated this scene. Personally, myself, I just thought the acting was just not done well by a lot of the actors. Like, the end part with the throwing the spear and the last Sand Snake talking about her backstory and all that kind of stuff was really good. I like backstories, I like explanations, and her acting is amazing. But the way the rest of the actors and the whole scene was put together was really awkwardly done. And just from my perspective, like, I don't know why, I couldn't pick up anything in particular, it just seemed really awkward. Just my personal opinion. Now, this scene was really important because it dropped a lot of things for like R+L=J, and gave us a lot of insight into future events with Peter Baelish and her. What I did like about this scene is they're giving a lot of recognition to Stannis' power and the position, and they're kind of displaying him as a good guy because he's going to come in and help Sansa out. Yay, they're actually going to make Stannis cool now. Finally. But you guys could tell from the look on Peter Baelish's face, like, yeah, there probably wasn't rape. It was probably consensual. Quick self-promotion, if you don't know what R+L=J is, then click this video right here. Now, I pay a lot more attention throughout Sansa's storylines and watch it several times over now because it's different from the books. We're past the point that the books are with Sansa's storyline, so everything here is generally new. And I'm kind of thinking, what if she's not very good at the Game of Thrones? Like, I know she's being taught a bit by Peter Baelish, who claims to be the best, which he may be because he's in a pretty good position at the moment for where he came from. But still, we're putting a lot of trust that Sansa will be able to play Bruce Bolton, who isn't a guy that gets played very easily. Now, Ramsay, on the other hand, may be a bit easier. Again, Game of Thrones, don't be killing little girls. Now we come to what I thought was going to be the second best scene in this episode, then I saw the end, and I was like, probably can't rate it then anymore. But I also think these scenes are absolutely amazing. Tyrion and Jorah Mormont aren't those kind of characters that mix very well, as like, you wouldn't really see them working together or doing anything together, and this scenario has put two very different people in a similar situation. And what Tyrion said was very well true. Like, it's just as likely, even probably more likely, some would say, that they would execute Jorah and then, pardon Tyrion. Especially if you saw leaked images. I did quite like how Jorah Mormont just, walked up completely silent, stood there in front of him, waited a few seconds, and then slap! Across the face. Now Tyrion really knows how Joffrey feels. Now we move to the most anticipated part of this entire review, Daenerys' storyline. But just to piss you off, I'm gonna, announce my new sponsor instead. Thank you so much to my new sponsor, Audible.com. If you go to the link audibletrials.com/king, you can get a free audiobook of your choice. Now, I know a lot of you guys would like to read the books, but they're giant tomes and you just don't have the time. So listening to the audiobooks is just the best way to do it. Plus, if you don't think you're going to like audiobooks, you can try the first one out for free through this link, and then you can, decide if you want to continue with the rest of the series. I know this is a really good idea. This is what I did to catch up on the books. I read the books a long time ago, and I was kind of forgetting quite a lot of what happened in the last books, stuff like that. So I've reread the entire series, not re-listened to the entire series on audible.com. So go to audibletrials.com/king to get a free audiobook of your choice. Link in description. Now I'm done selling out, let's get back to the video. Now this episode was completely full with like backstories and information that I really like. Rhaegar Targaryen is a really important character that has a lot of links to Jon Snow and are really important for you guys to learn more about. I also know that a lot of you book readers agree with me on this. Rhaegar is very important. He was supposedly the prince that was promised. He was proud, honourable, had a plan, obsessed with prophecies and stuff. He was a brother to Dany, father of Jon Snow, and a well thought of and respectable person. Not to mention the show has portrayed him as the single reason of Robert's rebellion, which is not, but I'll go through that in a different video. That is why I think this is the best scene in this episode. You thought it was the fight scene in the end? You were wrong. Now there are several things I picked up that were amazing about the fight scene at the end, and a few things that I picked up that really grind my gears. The first being that why the hell are the Unsullied losing to some people with knives? The Masters are like wimpy little cushions that have never held a weapon in their lives. Slaves have done everything for them. They've only had, gold. They develop gout from eating disorders and shit like that. Like, I understand they had the outnumbering thing, but the Unsullied are still amazing warriors that were trained by birth brutally to be great. It's even more annoying when you see Unsullied who don't even kill a single master before they die. Now, if I recall real quickly from lore, 2,000 Unsullied managed to hold off like 20,000 Dothraki, which are like the most feared warriors in the world. I think that they can hold off a few little masters. But other than that, Grey Worm's fighting was absolutely amazing. He was displaying the true strength of what every Unsullied should be like. The reason why Dany was so able to expand, take over these seasons and stuff, is because 8,000 Unsullied are really powerful compared to like 15,000 Sellswords. Now, I could deal with the Unsullied being a little bit flimsy, okay? But then Barristan Selmy comes in. Now, I know that Barristan Selmy is old, but he's still like supposed to be the most badass warrior in the entire Westeros. Let's imagine Jaime before he lost his hand, combined with Bronn, and add the mountain on top, and then you've got Barristan Selmy. Now you can imagine that someone, even when they're aged with that kind of ability, will be able to whip ass. And do you remember when he was getting dismissed by Joffrey, and he's like, I could still cut through you like butter. Yeah, but you apparently can't cut through some silk that the Masters are wearing, like they're not even wearing armor. Come on, man. Now other than that, I did quite like how the scene was structured in a way that it seemed like it was Red Wedding 2.0. Because, you've got the people that you definitely think are bad and absolutely have no compassion for, versus people that you really think are awesome and powerful and cool. And then the people you think are awesome, powerful, and cool get fucked up. Now, the only question we have left is, will Grey Worm die? Will Barristan really die? Or will it just be wounds that they recover from? Personally, I'm putting my bets on that Grey Worm will live from his wounds, but Barristan will unfortunately die. Tell me who you think will survive in the comment section below. And while you're down there, how about supporting me? Go to audibletrials.com/king to get a free audiobook of your choice. But seriously, if you haven't read the books or you want to reread them quickly in a new kind of format, then the audiobooks are really good. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.